Good afternoon or morning, wherever you are in the United States and beyond, if you are watching this. Welcome, I am Bree. I post closing time videos, not consistently, I have to be very honest, but I do post them when I can and my role allows it. And this just happens to be one of those days. So I thought I'd hop on here and share a little bit of advice for any of you that are in senior living sales, that you lead people in senior living sales, or quite frankly, you're just maybe interested to know more about this industry from a sales perspective. Again, it is not 5 o'clock. You typically see me with a glass of wine. And today you're not going to see that. You're going to be see the very basic Stanley Cup for hydration. So I swear I am not drinking before 5 o'clock typically. So shout out to all my basic girls and gals out there with their Stanley Cups. They are obnoxious, but they are wonderful. So let's get started. I wanted to talk about overcoming objections. And there's so many different barriers and objections when you've got the prospect coming to you. And so let's kind of pick those apart. This might be several different videos to address many of them, and I'd love to see what objections you guys are facing, if any. Comment below and let me know some areas you'd like me to touch on from my experience. It's really special to me, and I'll probably post a video or a picture of this particular creative, intentional gift I sent one time. And it was a really tough barrier to overcome. And I think back on it, and it was so good. And I can't even be the one to say that it was my idea. It was my mentor at the time that encouraged me to overcome this barrier this way. Shout out to Michelle Anderson out there. I love you so much, both personally and professionally. And this is something that has stuck out with me throughout my years of senior living sales. So we had an individual come in and I was touring them at this specific community. And it was perfect. You've got the rapport going, you've built the relationship. It's all yes, yes, yes. We've talked about what's important. I've addressed that. And you're like, okay, I'm getting this deposit. Like, I'm getting awfully cocky over there. And as we sometimes can, I'm like, I've got this in the bag, adding it to the end of the month, go me. Well, then the bombshell happens. Everything is great, but I don't love the location. It's too far away from my house. Okay, well, holy cow, that's like one of the hardest ones to overcome because I can't pick up the community and put it near your house. So how do you overcome location challenges when it comes to selling in senior living? That's gonna be one of the hardest ones. And I think you really have to be deeply rooted in your culture and what you provide to make that distance worth it. So you've got to kind of spin your words a bit, and I don't want to say spin in a bad way, but you want to show them that all the value that they get from choosing your community makes up for the distance. And so again, we were talking a little bit and I'm getting scared at this point. Oh my gosh, how are we going to overcome this? And they left and I was so bummed out. I thought that I was not going to get this sale. I thought that the competitor who was much closer to their community was going to get the sale purely based on the fact that the location was better. And that just killed me. I'm like, how can I overcome this? And so I was talking with my leader at the time, and we would typically go over hot leads and anything I was struggling with, which, my team does as well now. And she said, it sounded like one of the largest barriers was the fact that they've got to pick up their kid, and they had a young family, and it was going to be a lot to pick the daughter up from school and then drive to go see her dad every day, because that's what she wanted to do. Her expectation was to go and see him daily, which I love. And it was really hard for her to fathom how she could make all of that work given the traffic and everything. It's a real concern, I get it. So how do you overcome that? Because it ticked all the boxes. Well, that's when you get really creative and just let your creative juices fly on whatever that looks like. But what I did is I created a car sort of goodie bag for her daughter, who was probably, I think maybe 8 or 9 at the time. And it was kind of like car games that she could play, something to keep the distance, you know, maybe not mean that much at that point, because you're at the end of it, you're visiting your grandpa and your father that is at the community that checked every other box with the exception of location. And so I added snacks, goodies, car games, trivia games, you name it, anything I could do to make that car drive a bit better. And I wrote a handwritten note with it. And what I said, and it's so impactful because you do think about this, is if I were to pick up this building, if I could, and move it right next to your house, would we be the option? And if that answer is yes, then why would you want to lose out on your father living the best life possible because it's going to take 15 more minutes? And again, there's an art to having those conversations with people and helping them realize that it's worth every penny, right? And mile for that matter. And it was really interesting. She received the gift, thought about it overnight, and she's like, you're right. I think that this makes a lot of sense. I don't want him to not get the best for him because it's the least convenient for me, so to speak. So take yourself out of it and put the person that we're actually looking to take care of here and get them to the best life possible, which is your dad. A lot of times we tend to think about it from just the adult child or adult, or maybe the spouse. And, you know, it's not our fault. We just think about what's the convenience for me versus really thinking about what's best for my loved one that I'm choosing a community for. And there's no fault in it, but it is important for us as sales leaders and sales counselors, directors, managers, whatever you call it, to be able to build enough trust in that relationship to where you can have those hard conversations such as that of, hey, let's think about it from dad's perspective. You know, he's going to get to do A, B, and C here, which from what you shared with me was most important to him. Why would we want to give that up? Because it's going to be another 15 minutes in the car because it's more convenient. And that really resonated with her, and we got the check. So just a little tidbit of if you're having challenges from a location perspective and feel pretty hopeless on how you're going to overcome that, think about those sort of questions you can ask back is, if you could move this community right by your house, would we be your option? And if the answer is yes, I don't want you and your family and your loved one to miss out on living their best life on the perfect community because it's a bit farther. So food for thought. I hope you enjoy that. Please comment below if you want to talk about more objections. I've got a list over here, and we'll go through those unless you've got something that's really burning that you'd like to talk about. And I look forward to speaking with you soon. And cheers. Have a great day.